Okay, so kind of the way I do it is first I'm going to talk about just kind of the team highlights from the year as far as what they accomplished. I'm going to talk about kind of their makeup and their character as a team, and then I talk about the seniors individually, and kind of go through, some of the things that they sacrificed as players, some of their basketball skills, and kind of a favorite or encouraging thing about how they grew this year. And then I'll just kind of wrap up with some thank yous. So I do only talk about the seniors, which doesn't mean that I don't love the rest of the players. It's just incentive for them to stick around to be seniors so that I can talk about them. So as far as just a team recap of the season, these guys were 26 and 14. The senior class over the last 4 years was 124 and 48, and a lot of you guys played kind of the last 3 years. That group was 100 wins and 33 losses in the last 3 years, which is pretty darn good, and probably the winningest senior class in the history of the program. So 26 and 14 is an impressive record, regardless of the season, but I thought particularly this was the toughest schedule that our varsity has played, certainly in the 15 years that I've been coaching. We played a lot of public schools, a lot of teams that have resources that are more than us. We played 7 games against teams that made the National Final Four this year, winning against 2 of the teams that made the National Final Four. So that's just a pretty brutal schedule, and to put up that kind of record against that is impressive. Some of the accomplishments as far as tournaments, at the beginning of the year, these guys won the National Tip-Off Tournament, beating the Memphis Nighthawks, who made the National Final Four. They made the conference finals, which is only the second time that our team's made the conference finals since the conference came into existence. They made the state finals for the 5th year in a row. They made the Midwest Regional Final Four for only the 2nd time in the history of the program and finished 3rd. And then at Nationals, what I was most proud of is that we had just a gut-wrenching loss in the first round, which was just a huge disappointment for these guys. But what they did was just kept battling the rest of the week. And that kind of embodies the character of this group, that they can take a tough loss and they're just going to come back and play 3 more overtime games the rest of the week and just keep battling their hearts out. And not only that, but they were cheering on their 16U team, they're cheering on the D3 team that went out to Nationals, just kept together and rallied around each other, and that just kind of starts to transition into talking about the character of this team. So one of the things right from the get-go at the beginning of the season that we knew was going to be a challenge and was going to be different from last year. Last year's team was a team of guys who had played together for years and knew where they're all going to be, when they're going to be there, and that kind of chemistry on the floor you can't manufacture. This year's team was a couple holdover guys from previous years, some younger guys that were coming up, and then 4 or 5 guys that had transferred over from different teams. And all of those guys bought into working that chemistry together and building that over the year. And understood from the get-go that that was going to be a challenge, but took that challenge on and made sacrifices in their own personal game to make that happen. And that's going to be a theme that I talk about with the seniors, is just the sacrifices that they made to be teammates. And one of them, was just adapting and changing roles with a brand new group of guys playing together. So the last thing I'll say just about the makeup of this team before I talk about the seniors is this group probably has one of the best off-court chemistries that I've ever seen for a group of guys together. And to have that with guys coming from different places and different teams, and having to make those sacrifices, just to have that bonding and fellowship that these guys have as a group, and seeing that at Nationals it just made this year a lot of fun to coach that group. They're just hyped for cheering on the younger levels, they hype each other up, their dance parties at practice, after practice is over. It made it a joy to be with this group, and it made some of the tough losses that we had this year just a lot easier to bear, knowing that these guys were in it together. So talking about the seniors, I'm just going to go in jersey number order, and there's a few seniors that aren't here tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about them, and I know at least one of their dads is taping. So, Austin Perkins, I'm going to bench you the next game for not being here tonight. Noah Reesner. Go ahead and step forward. Show us who you are. So Noah was one of the guys who came over from a different team. He was with the Marlins in previous years, and one of the sacrifices he made was he was the guy at the Marlins. I mean, he was the guy that had to go out and score 30 a game every night and pretty much carry the team on both ends of the floor. And with this group, he had to learn how to adjust his role, because really he was one of the guys on a balanced team, and he had to figure out what that meant for him. And that's hard to work. Next up is Peter Ponticello. So Peter, I remember, I think probably when he was 10 or 11 years old, his mom emailed me and just saying he was interested in the club, and I was excited to have him come out and visit and be with the team. And he was probably 4 feet tall back then, and he's grown quite a bit since then. But I still remember that exchange and really wanting him to be a part of what we were doing here. And Peter definitely made sacrifices this year, and there will be a recurring theme with a couple other guys. He didn't get a ton of playing time through the course of the year, and that's hard. All these guys, you can see there's a lot of guys in this lineup, and the reality is that usually you only play 8 or 9, maybe 10 guys a game if it's a close competitive game, because you just can't be shuffling 15 different guys out there. And all these guys can play basketball. That's not the issue. They're all good. And if you saw what we did this year at Nationals as far as bringing 2 teams out there, you got to see guys have opportunities to show that. But Peter is one of the guys who, never complaining, showed up to practice, made sacrifices, understood that he wasn't going to see a lot of time in some of those games, but he was a faithful part of the team. And another challenge for some of those guys is a lot of them, this was their first year playing at that level. And the way this organization is structured, you usually play 2 years at each level coming up. So that first year, you're kind of feeling out the pace and the speed of that game. And the second year is when you hit your stride. And with Peter and Carson and Sam and Austin graduating, I won't say early because it's a normal age, but they have one more year that they could have played. And that's a challenge to work through, because really that first year at the next level is when you're feeling it out, and the second year is when you get more time and become a bigger contributor. But Peter being willing to sacrifice that this year was special to me. As far as his basketball skills, he is a physical defender, rebounds, pound for pound, he's one of the toughest guys on the team. And something that was special for me with Peter this year was I've always tried to persuade him to come out to Nationals and play out there, because if you heard some of the other, what's your favorite part of this year? Nationals. What's your favorite part of this year? Nationals. So I'm always pushing, and that goes to the rest of you in the room. We all want you to be part of Nationals, so start planning ahead for 2020. But it was really special to me that Peter, because out-of-town travel has been tough for him, he's got a busy schedule outside of basketball. I really appreciate that he made the time to come out to Nationals. And there's some games we would not have won out there without Peter coming out. So thank you, Peter. Please give him a hand. So Austin Perkins, you're in Florida. We missed you tonight. Austin's another one of the guys who, his sacrifice for the team this year was showing up to practice, working hard in practice, pushing the guys who played more, and never complaining about how much time he saw the court now. And like I said, you can't understand for competitors like this how hard that can be. And that happens at every level of basketball. NBA, college, you got 14 guys, 9 or 10 are going to play, and the other guys are pushing each other in practice. So that sacrifice from Austin is what I appreciated from him this year. again, on the basketball side of things, what I saw, especially when he got the opportunity at Nationals to play, was he really stepped up as a leader and kind of an orchestrator on the floor. He ended up playing the role of point guard, which is something I hadn't asked him to do a lot through the course of his career, and he really kept those guys organized. And like I saw him verbalize and be a vocal leader and keeping people where they needed to be on the floor, which was really cool to see that opportunity for him and have him make the most of that opportunity. The other thing I enjoyed kind of on the personal side this year was getting to see him talk more. This is definitely the most I've seen him talk. 8 years he's been with the program. And kind of see his sense of humor. He's no Steve Perkins yet, but he's making his own path and a good sense of humor. So also we miss you tonight, and thank you, folks, giving me. Next up is Sam Acosta. Sam's kind of the heart and soul of this team, and like a big vocal, like hype man for the team. Not hype man like a Wildcat hype man. Like hype man, like he gets guys excited and working hard in practice. And I mean, just he has a magnetic personality that just keeps people up and their energy up. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about him. As far as the sacrifice side, he was another guy who didn't necessarily see a ton of minutes on the floor. And when I would look over to put somebody in the game, like he's the guy who just had this longing look in his eyes to be in that game. And that's the kind of competitive fire that he has. Never complaining to me about that, but you could see he wanted to be a part of what's going on. And I'd say, of all the guys lined up here, Sam from 3 years ago to Sam now is one of the most improved players. And that's because he's worked hard at his game through the course of the last 3 years. And I think you saw that on the floor, definitely senior night in some of the games that he was in, and the D3 out at Nationals. You saw his improvement arc in the work that he put in over those years. And then on the basketball side, I think one of his biggest skills is he was a vocal talker on defense, one of the best talkers on defense on the team. And that, in a game that's a few possessions, being a talker on defense is the difference in whether you win or lose. And then Sam also had the opportunity to put away a game at Nationals where he hit 2 free throws with, 4 or 5 seconds left to make sure that we got the win. And then he told me afterwards, I thought we were up by 6 or 8. So. Still some work to do on court awareness. Sam, please give him a hand. Thank you. Okay, so next up is Austin Winchester. Austin made one of the biggest sacrifices of the guys who plays a lot of minutes, in that he really played out of position the whole year. He's never been a point guard coming up through the years. He's always had his brother Brandon playing point guard, and Austin's playing alongside him as the two guard. But as far as his sense of the game and his court awareness, I needed him to fill that role this year, and that asked a lot of him because what ends up happening when you play point guard is you're really facilitating for the other guys on the floor, which means your personal stats usually go down, and you end up deferring to other guys a lot. And we kind of wanted him to shoot more. Me and his dad wanted him to shoot a little bit more. But Austin's one of the most unselfish players that I've ever coached. And that translates not only into being a good point guard, but being willing to be that role when that's not your natural role. So, that's his big sacrifice. Like I said, as far as the basketball side of things, I mean, we've seen, if you watch the highlight reel, he can just make it rain. He can get hot and hit 5 or 6 threes in a short period of time. And that's really fun to see. And that's one of the things he sacrificed this year was he just didn't get to do a lot of that. And then the other thing is, he's probably, along with his brother over there, 2 of the smartest basketball players that I've ever coached. And then from a personal standpoint, he's a guy that I could lean on during the year and get feedback from. things that we should be doing differently. I don't know if he wanted that role, but he was a lot of times the guy that I would go to for just getting the pulse of what's going on with the team. So I leaned on him heavily, and I appreciate that. And I've told him through the year, I know he was a little bit on the fence on whether to come back this year. He lost some of the guys that he'd run with, his brother and Drew, and it was a hard and sacrificial decision to come back this year and play. And I'll tell you again, I appreciate it. So next up is Nick Jennings, and this is a guy who we've had a lot of Lions bashing tonight. I'm going to pile on a little bit because the Lions were fools to let Nick and Elijah go. And I'll talk about Elijah later, but Nick is just one of the best teammates that you could ever ask for here. I mean, he was a guy that just immediately was part of his team and embraced these guys, and these guys loved him. And he was just, I mean, he's just a chemistry guy that cheers for the rest of the team and he cheers for other guys. As far as the sacrifice, there was a point during the year, Nick's been a starter with the Lions and he started with us most of the year, but there was a stretch where I asked him to come off the bench. And that's a hard thing for a senior to accept, especially when it's a mouthy freshman, Matthew Brown, that has to come in starting for him. But Nick accepted that. He ended up starting later in the year, but there was never a complaint. He kept doing what I asked him to as far as role on the team, and that was something I appreciated he sacrificed. On the basketball skills side of things, he's another super smart player. Like as far as analyzing the opponent's strengths and weaknesses, like he could go down the lineup of guys on the other team, what they did well, what they didn't do well, and you saw that reflect in his play on the court. Like he knew who he should double onto, who he shouldn't double off of, and those kind of things. And that's kind of fun to see in a player. Younger guys, if you have that skill, it's just on the thinking side of the game, and it just makes your game so much better. So Nick's a good example of that. And like I said, as far as just the personal side of things, I appreciated how much he poured into the team as far as just relational and being friends with the guys. And like, he feels like he's been a warrior for the last 6 years. So, Nick, thank you for that. So Elijah Smith's not here tonight, but I'm going to say a few words about him too. Elijah was definitely one of our most talented players, and the first thing that he really said to me in our first conversation when he had come over from the Lions to us was, I want to do whatever it takes for this team to win. With the Lions, a lot of times he was the guy who had to bail them out or score 30 points a game. And he said, I don't care if I score, I don't care if I distribute, I want to do what it takes for this team to win. And he followed through with that. And there were some games we needed him to bail us out. And he has a competitive fire that makes him a finisher. The buzzer beater at regionals that won the game. Some other games where we had teams on the ropes and he was the guy that stuck the dagger in. He has that fire, and he was willing to adapt his role from game to game based on what we needed. And that was something that I'm sure was hard for him because his fire burns. He wants, like his heart of hearts, he wants to be the guy that he played on. And he ended up being the leading scorer, but a very balanced scoring effort across the board. And I appreciate that sacrifice from him. On the basketball side of things, he really improved as a defender from the beginning of the year to the end. Understanding, he always has the athleticism to pressure on the ball, but understanding where to be away from the ball and giving consistent effort on the side of the floor. He definitely improved throughout the year. And coaches recognized his play this year. He was all-region. He was an Indiana All-Star, All-Conference. So coaches around recognized just the efficiency that he played with this year. And then as far as on the personal side, he was a guy that was just a great teammate and a huge encourager of the guys. Like he's a guy that no matter who's scoring in practice, he's hyping him up. Like there's no prejudice and no cliques with him. He's just a guy who encourages the rest of the team. And when somebody makes a play, he's the first guy to cheer them on. So I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and So Carson Wood. So Carson's a guy who, he's kind of played up on Varsity in a limited role the last couple years. And, I think he and I both expected him to have a pretty big role this year. And I think his sacrifice is that with a lot of guys who transferred in, that role ended up changing. And that may have been a mistake on my part in some cases. He should have had more opportunities. When I saw what he was capable of later in the year, it made me have regrets for what was happening previously in the year. So that just goes to show that coaches make mistakes sometimes too. But Carson was patient through that. He waited for his opportunity and he took advantage of it. So that was a sacrifice that he made. On the basketball side, what I saw at the end of the year was just his improvement in defense and rebounding and kind of creation on the offensive end. Not only being able to finish at the rim in traffic, but also dumping it off at the right time. So his basketball skills definitely improved. And then kind of one of the things, and I'm going to give a little credit to Carson and Austin here, as we had a couple injuries. Nick was hurt, Noah was hurt, some other guys were playing banged up. And it was the last game of regionals. And I was talking to Austin saying, who do we need to step up in this next game? And he said, Carson's got to step up. And, I'll get some of the guys to talk to him. We need to talk to him. But Carson is the guy who has more to give here. Let's get him in the game. And then seeing him do that, that had a ripple effect on me. And that kind of got me down this road of thinking we need to play two teams out of nationals so that some of these guys have the opportunity to demonstrate what they've worked on. So, listening to players, Austin, Carson being willing to step up, that kind of started a snowball effect of something that I thought was really good for this team going into nationals. So, Carson, thank you for that. And I think other guys can thank you too. Give them a hand. Last but definitely not littlest or least is Big Ryan. So Ryan's sacrifice is Ryan's going on to play college ball. As hopefully most of you know, Ferris State, the Division II champion from the previous year. He went through the whole recruiting process and weighing where he needs to go. And so we're definitely excited for that because I don't think we've ever had a Northwest Warrior go to Division II basketball. So please give him a hand for that. So one of the sacrifices that Ryan made is it's really easy to slip into having a kind of, hey, I'm the guy who's going D2. I should get the ball every time down the floor. This team is about me. And Ryan has never been anything like that, and definitely wasn't like that this year. He's a guy who he definitely wants the ball, but he was a team guy, and he was willing to play in balanced offense, which is what I think is the best way to succeed in basketball. And would I like for them to throw him the ball a few more times? Maybe. He probably would like that too. But he was willing to sacrifice. He was never a guy who was screaming at teammates to throw him the ball. He's just a true team guy. And I thought this year, of all the years that he played, he had the best kind of chemistry and bonding with the guys around him off the floor too. And I think that comes from them seeing how he sacrificed as a player. So I do appreciate that. And then on the basketball side of things, I mean, if you could have seen Ryan walking in the gym 4 years ago to where he is now as a player, I mean, it's just an astronomical growth. And the credit to that goes to Ryan and the work that he's put in, not only here in this gym, but many, many, many hours in other gyms with other people teaching and training him. And young guys, it's a great example. Ryan's not good because he's 6'10". He's good because he put hours and hours and hours of work into his craft. And that's something I appreciate on the basketball side of things. And then I kind of spoke on the chemistry side of things. Ryan's a very serious, focused, pragmatic person. He can come off as just a little cold sometimes. So it was fun this year to see him just kind of be warmer, because this is a silly group of guys sometimes, the dance parties and all that stuff. And it was just fun to see him let loose and laugh a little bit, especially at nationals, kind of hang out with the guys and that bonded brotherhood that happens. So I appreciate his flexibility and personality too. And that will serve you well as you grow, not only in going on to D2 basketball, but as a man, whatever you choose to do going forward. So thank you, Ryan. Give him a hand. So the last thing I want to do is just say some thank yous. We talked about the new families. Just thank you so much to the new families who came in. Reasoners, Ludlows, Jennings family, Verna. It was just really special to have these new families come in and immediately feel the Boyles, just immediately feel a part of this organization. And really, it's a testament also to the people who've already been here. But it really felt like at the end of the year, we're just one family. It wasn't these guys came from here, these guys came from here. We were the Northwest Warriors. So new families, I just appreciate your adaptability coming into that. Thank you to the families who are moving on, the Perkins, Winchesters, Siegels, Poncellos. Craig, you're not really moving on because I think you're sticking around. But you guys have put a lot into this the last few years. Some of the best decisions we ever made are getting the Winchesters into this club, getting the Jennings into this club, getting the Seagulls into this club. There's never a day I regret having those groups of people come and join us. So thank you. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you to my family for sharing my time with the Varsity. They never complain about it, Laura never complains about it. I definitely miss some of my girls' games and some of David's games, and I never heard boo from them about that. And I appreciate that from my own family. They understand that this is something that's special to me, that's important to me, and I love doing it. And I just thank my family for letting me do that. And then lastly, you guys, I've already thanked you some, but just thank you for putting up with me. I definitely make mistakes as a coach. And you guys picked me up when I was down. I don't think I coached my best at nationals when we lost that first game. I know how much that hurts for some of you guys. But rather than pile on me, you guys just played hard the rest of the week. We cheered each other on. I beat myself up about that for a long time, but I'm just really thankful for the support that you guys showed me. So thank you. Thank you for being together, for always fighting, and for making this a wonderful team to coach. Thank you.